Hi, I'm here today to talk about GORF. I'll be playing about 10 minutes worth of this game and then giving additional commentary here at the end. I just want to warn you guys to be a little gentle with this video. It turns out pretty good. I was surprised at how good it turned out, but I'd never actually recorded anything that was played in MAME before, and I didn't really know how to go about doing it. And I like what ended up working out. I ended up using a program that recorded MAME in a window, and I talk about it a little bit while I'm playing the game, so you can learn about it there. But I originally tried to do it by recording directly from MAME and then lining up the audio, and I was getting extremely frustrated because that is not an easy thing to do. And I think it would have probably turned out maybe looking a little bit better, but not by much, and so I think this is a great way to do it. So before I have you guys look at the video, I thought it would be interesting to look at some background material on GORF itself. I'm going to actually, after the video, provide a lot more background material from something called the SDF Combat Manual. But right now, let's take a look at the flyer that was given to distributors. So GORF, considered to be the incomparable multi-session video challenge. And I have been reading a little bit about background about this game, and apparently this is the first game that has more than one stage, and it seems kind of late for 1981, but maybe it is. I can't think of another one, but surely there must have been some home computer games that did that. So I love the cover art for this. I was trying to make out who made it. It doesn't say here, but there's one picture of this that you can kind of make out the person's name, but I can't make it out here. So right there, that is a Gorfian robot on the cover. You can see its reflection is stars. I think it would have been neat if its helmet's reflection had been your ship about to blast it or something like that. But I guess looking at it this way, it looks a little bit more ominous. So the inside, it opens up into 2 pages. So each half of this is an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper. And this kind of explains a little bit of background, get the distributors enticed to purchase this game. And I really like the way this looks. I think it looks fantastic, really. And next up, we have the back of the flyer, which gives 3 versions of the cabinet that were available. You've got the full-size cabinet all the way to the right. You've got in the middle there, you've got the cocktail cabinet, or cocktail table, I guess it's technically called. And all the way to the left, you have a little miniature cabinet, which is that called a cabaret, I think? Here they call it the Mini Mite, which is a kind of a funny name, but I think they're called cabarets. But I don't know much about the arcade side of things. So that's that for the flyer. Next up, I got some pictures off the internet that show a little close-up of this game being played. On the right-hand side, you have the cocktail table again. On the far left, you have the full upright. I couldn't find a really good picture of just the full upright that was high res, or at least better resolution than that. So I kept them pretty small. In the middle, you can see that the game is a vertical game, and to the lower left, or excuse me, to the lower right, you see that there's 6 yellow squares, and those will actually light up as you progress every 5 levels. You start off as a space cadet, and you go on through to higher designations, and you'll find that that's pretty cool. And the game talks, of course, so as you progress through the game, it taunts you in whatever your designation is. If you're a space cadet, it taunts you as that. If you're a space captain, it taunts the space captain. Right here, we've got the marquee for the game. It's interesting that there's some robots that have they're humanoid figures, because there's nothing like that in the game at all, but this would certainly not be the first game to ever have a marquee or artwork that doesn't look anything like anything in the game. I like this marquee, and since I really I'm into anything that uses the Astro chipset, like Wizard of War or GORF. I've seen this thing for sale rather inexpensively on eBay for about $20 to $30, and maybe I'll pick one up. I have a couple of marquees which I've never hung up on my wall, and they're not gathering dust, but they're in my closet right now. I'd like to get some kind of setup where I can put them in a backlit panel and actually hang them up. And I wouldn't always have them lit up, but it'd be pretty neat. I don't technically have a game room. I just have an office, but I have, an Atari in here. I don't have any arcade cabinets, but I do enjoy a cool marquee. I also wouldn't mind getting one for the Wizard of War, and maybe even Tornado Baseball, I think. Not Tornado Baseball, Extra Bases, which is the sequel to Tornado Baseball, which just happens to be another game that uses the Astrocade chipset. And Seawolf 2 also uses it, so there's a couple of them out there that I'd like to get. So this is the control panel for the game, and it's got a pretty neat looking controller. I've only played this, I think, once in the arcade. Not even in an arcade. It was actually here. Someone who lives locally to me a couple of years ago. I posted something on Craigslist looking for a Seawolf 2 cabinet, and he emailed me back, and he had a couple of cabinets. One of them being a GORF, and I wasn't interested in buying it, but I asked if I could come on over to his house and check it out. And we hung out for a little while and talked video games, and I got to play his cabinet, and it was kind of fun to do. And next up, this is the last thing I'm going to show before I start another video, is this is some recreated art that's for the side panel of the arcade cabinet. You can buy these on eBay. I think they're $20 for 2 of them. They look awesome. They seem to be really high quality. They're decals that you just stick on the side. I guess they're the size of the cabinet, so they're quite large. If you get a chance, you should check them out. I almost would buy these, and I'm not going to stick them to my wall, but man, they look cool. Yeah. Well, anyway, up next is the video. I hope you enjoy it. This is, like I said, the first time I've made a video like this using a capture program. And in a way, it's kind of better than what I normally do, which is point my camera at the Astrocade screen and just capture what's available using my camera. But, you know, I was going to try that as a last resort, but I finally figured out something that worked. So enjoy what you see, and stay tuned after the video and listen to what I have to say about the combat manual, which was distributed by Midway. I hope you enjoy the video. This is GORF. It was released by Midway in 1981, and it was programmed primarily by Jay Fenton. The game concept was by Dave Nutting and Jay Fenton. Jay did the video programming. The audio programming was done by Scott Norris. Both of these people were heavily involved with the Astrocade games. They were released for the home console, also known as the Bally Professional Arcade. There was also some additional support by Rick Frankel and Bob Ogden. The electronics design was by Jeff Fredrickson and Dave Otto. Well, I'm trying this in a way I've never done before, so if it doesn't work out very well with the sound and the sound effects and my voice, I'm using a new piece of software that I've only just discovered today called Open Broadcaster software. I had been trying to make videos with MAME, and then recorded my audio with Audacity, and it did not work very well. So I will try something different and see how that works out. This game is being recorded because in the High Score Club for the Astrocade, which takes place in the Atari Age forums. This is the main game for round 8, and today is July 29th, 2017. The round will be ending tomorrow at 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So let's put a quarter in the machine and see what happens. I put a quarter in, and the credits I get are 3. You can actually put 50 cents in, and you can start off with 6 ships, which is what I'm going to do. Alright, this is the first level. It's similar to Space Invaders. I'm going to try to get to the fifth screen if I can, which is the Flagship, which is kind of like a boss level. I'm playing this with the CX40 joystick because it's easy to do, for one thing, and because my other joystick, which I normally use, is very loud. So I'm not even paying attention, I'm just talking. So I'll probably play a couple of games of this and see how it goes. Yeah, this game has been something I've been spending a lot of time with. I'm playing this in a window because that's the only way I can get it to record, and so it's a little smaller than my full screen. So it's a little hard for me to see the baddie shots. Yeah, but that's just the way it goes. This is just, if I can ever get this finished, I'll get an extra point for playing this for the High Score Club, which is worth doing. Plus, it's something I want to learn to do anyway, because there's a couple tutorials I'd like to make, and it would be helpful to be able to do this way. So this is just a test, and I'm actually playing the game for my real game. I will probably not do too much talking. We'll see. Almost to the Galaxian level. You can hear my joystick moving around. If I was using my Supreme 7800 controller, which is much louder, you would not be able to handle it. Okay, something interesting about this game, it's not like Space Invaders, is you can actually move up all the way to here. You can move down to here. You can move all the way to the right, which is not all the way to the right and left of the screen, because they can actually go a little beyond what you can go in. Since you can go up and down, you can actually maneuver pretty easily like I'm doing right now. I like that feature of this game. I'm not doing very good because I'm not trying. And even when I do try, I have to admit I don't do very good anyway. It's a hard game. For me anyway. Some people are probably much better at it. So that's my last guy. What I'm going to let happen is I'll let the attract screens go. Oh, I still have one more guy. I thought that was my last guy. I have no more guys in reserve. Let's see how far I can get on this one guy. Let's see if I can shoot. Ah, he got away. I guess that's GORF? I don't know. We will see. The game's pretty colorful. It makes good use of the limited color palette of the Astro chipset, which is what this game uses, like Wizard of War. If you look carefully, there's only about 4 colors on the screen at once. Right, let's look at the attract screen. With using 6 ships, I was able to get 3,850, which is a terrible score. This part is silent while it goes, but it says the Evil Gorfian Robot Empire has attacked. Your assignment is to repel the invasion and launch a counterattack. You will engage various hostile spacecraft as you journey toward... Oh, I can't read that fast. So this game, I've been disassembling it lately and using the MAME debugger, and I found quite a bit out about it. There's a few things that are interesting that I guess this must have some extra hardware besides the Astrocade's chipset, like for instance, I'm so used to making these recordings with my camera, just pointing it at the Astrocade screen. I was going to point to the screen, but you can't see me doing that. Oh man, I hope that mouse wasn't there the whole time. I don't think it was. And so GORF is a pretty fun game. So let me put another quarter and I will play pretty much without talking. Let's see how I do. Alrighty, let's get into this game. What I'd like to be able to do is, if I actually learn to use this software, I'd like to be able to change the volume levels for different inputs, like my mic input. I don't know if I can record them separately or not. I guess I will find that out. Man. All of this to make a 5-minute video or 10-minute video. But it's fun learning, I guess. Once I do it once, I can learn to do it on other systems, I guess. Let's see here. Watch out! See, I can't get over that guy. I can't shoot him because he's too far to the left there. Oh, I should have put in 2 quarters. Can I add quarters again? Nope. Alright. Don't kill me! You should know not to kill me! Alright. They don't listen to me. They never listen to me in video games. I talk to them all day long. And what do? They let me down. Alright, see if I can... I can't. Man, it's funny. I've been, like I said, looking at the game's code, and I don't really understand how it works. I've been finding some of the game patterns not too deep into the game. I spent a good amount of time looking at the code and using the MAME's debugger to look at where the code is being executed and where it's looking at the screen RAM and things like that. Let's see if I can get this last guy here. Alright, so now I'm going to be on the Space Warp level, which is a neat level because you can actually get to the Flagship without destroying anything on this level. You've got a certain number of baddies that come at you, and if you kill them, great. If you don't, they just pass you by and you don't get any points for them. So I'm not doing too bad. I shouldn't say that, because as soon as you say that in a video game, what happens? You jinx yourself and you do awful. Yeah, which is typical of me. Jinxing myself. Alright. Okay. And... Hey! Don't kill me! I want to get to the flagship, man! Alright. They're not listening to me. Like I said, you start talking to them. Hey! Alright, is that my last one? I think it is. Alright, so I made it to the flagship. That's great. That's fantastic, in fact. It makes me very happy. Alright, let's see if I can't destroy some of this base. Or shield, I mean. Because it doesn't help me. It makes it harder. Okay, now the point is to destroy the ship's red spot there. If I can get it. First you have to take away the blue that's around. Oh, I blew it up! Well, hallelujah! That's great. I didn't expect that to happen. So now the game speeds up a little bit. And you'll play a little faster. Alright, let's see if I can't kill that guy. Nope. Now, I thought if I could kill that guy, I would be able to, after you beat that level, you also get a free guy, which is kind of nice. Because I need all the guys I can get. Alrighty. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't look like it speeded up too much, but I think it does. I think you can notice it later on later levels. Can I kill that guy? Probably not. Let's go up there and try to get a little closer. Don't kill me! I just told you not to do that. Man, these guys don't listen to me at all. Ah! Okay. Alright. Look out! Oh, that's it for me. Alright, well that sums up this game. I'm glad I was able to make a video. Hopefully it turns out okay. And the volumes probably aren't quite perfect. It's probably hard to hear me. It might be hard to hear the background noises. We don't know. Following this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about something called the GORF Combat Manual, which was released by Midway in 1981. You could buy it for $1.95. Thanks for watching this video so far. That's enough for the gameplay. I might put a little bit more in later, but for now, that's all you're going to get to see. I finally think I figured out how to do this, so that's great. Maybe I'll try to make some more, maybe I'll make a video for Wizard of War, or maybe even for Robbie Roto, The Adventures of Robbie Roto, which is another game that uses the Astro chipset. Alright, stay tuned, and there'll be some more info about this game coming on up. Now that you've seen me play a little bit of GORF, I was going to give some background, so just some basic material from, say, Wikipedia or something. But I'm not going to do that. I am going to give a lot of background, but it's not from Wikipedia. It's from a source called the GORF Combat Manual, and it was provided by Midway. It was 28 pages long, and it was available in 1981. When I first heard of this manual, it was because I found it on a website called http://flyers.arcade-museum.com. Someone had scanned it in about 2003, I think, and it was all available in JPEG format. What I did is I printed it out, and I'm going to use it as a reference here. When I originally found this, I couldn't figure out where it came from, and I couldn't find any reference to where it came from. But I found on Google Library that I found at least one place where it was sold. It doesn't seem like it was available from too many places. I found a news item and for announcement of the manual, and it was printed in the June 6, 1981 issue of Cashbox, the International Music Record Weekly. The cover of this magazine, or trade journal maybe, I think it might be, I don't know much about it, looks like this. Yep, that's some interesting cover, isn't it? Alright, so the GORF manual is now available. Oh, this is what the announcement says. The GORF manual is now available for video enthusiasts. News from Chicago. And it says, the growing legions of GORF players may now purchase combat manuals to help in mastering this popular Midway video game and also earn classification in the Interstellar Defense Forces. The GORF Combat Manual contains historical data, tactical information, and strategy tips which are geared to assist the player in conquering the evil Gorfian Empire. The game theme involves a series of missions in which the player must repel Gorfian robot attacks and launch a counterattack to destroy the enemy flagship. Throughout the process, the player is constantly taunted by such phrases from the GORF leader as "prepare yourself for annihilation," "survival is impossible," and others. As a further means of generating full involvement in the entire game concept, players are invited to join the ISDF Pilots Association and qualify for membership cards. It doesn't say here, but there's a sample membership card in the manual, and I actually really wonder if anyone actually got one. The cover price of the manual is $1.95 and is available through Midway's distributor network. Further details may be obtained by contacting factory distributors or by the Midway Command Headquarters in Franklin, Illinois. Kathy Novick of Midway's Marketing Services Department has already received several inquiries resulting from a mid-May distributor mailing. Samples of the manual are being included in the cash boxes of all GORFs currently in production, which I think is pretty cool. And I also wonder if Midway or any other arcade manufacturers made player manuals like this for other games. I've never seen one, because it seems pretty unlikely to me that players in 1981 would even have had the opportunity to find this manual. It's not like they read trade journals or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick some excerpts from the manual and read them. This is the cover of the ISDF Combat Manual. It shows clearly that GORF stands for Galactic Orbital Robot Force, which is an acronym that I think is probably made up, and they probably came up with the title for the game by spelling frog backwards, but that's just my idea. So on the inside after that we have like the credits, which I've already mentioned, but basically the main people were Jay Fenton and Scott Norris for sound, Rick Frankel and Bob Ogden for additional program support, and the electronics design was by Jeff Fredrickson and Dave Otto. Then here on page 5, it says Space Fantasy Missions, a unique sight and sound adventure for special pilots enlisted in the Interstellar Defense Forces for a challenging voyage against the Gorfian Empire. In a series of missions, the pilot's assignment is to repel the Gorfian robot attacks and launch a counterattack to ultimately destroy the enemy flagship. Throughout the missions, the GORF leader speaks and taunts players with phrases like, "Prepare yourself for annihilation," "Survival is impossible," "Some galactic defender you are, ha ha ha," "My Gorfian robots are unbeatable," "Good try, Space Cadet," "Too bad, Space Cadet," and more. Pilots can complete 5 basic missions and are rewarded with promotions and continuous action against the Gorfian Empire. Now, isn't that exciting, kids? As can be seen in the game's crawl that goes up the screen when the game begins, it says, "The evil Gorfian robot empire has attacked. Your assignment is to repel their invasion and launch a counterattack. You will engage various hostile spacecraft as you journey toward a dramatic confrontation with the enemy flagship." And I think that's true. I do feel like once you've gotten to the flagship, that there's a feeling of accomplishment. I know it's pretty cool for me. So this is where the manual kind of goes off on its own and gives us all this background that I was not even aware was written. I don't know how many GORF players would have known about it back in 1981. I don't know how many GORF players know about it now. It seems pretty in-depth for a game that's basically just sort of an update on Space Invaders and includes Galaxian, and just is kind of an update on that. But hey, you can write as much backstory as you like, and that's what they did here. And I sure would love to know if anyone out there has heard of this. So we've got the ISDF structure. The Interstellar Space Defense Force was commissioned by Act of the Interstellar Congress in 3192.23 to defend the Union from external threats. It has evolved into a highly efficient fighting force which has proved equal to all challenges. Maybe equal for some people. It's not. If I'm playing this game, there's no equal about it. I do terrible at this game. The ISDF is organized in small autonomous units with central coordination. Our philosophy is to encourage individual initiative within a framework of mutual support. As an ISDF recruit, you start at the rank of Space Cadet, which is basically the rank you hear about the most, unless you get pretty good at this. You have to get to the flagship and past that to go up a rank. Basically, the way the ranks work is that the first 5 missions, you're a Space Cadet. Missions 6 to 10, you're a Space Captain. You're a Space Colonel from 11 to 15. A Space General from 16 to 20. A Space Warrior from missions 21 to 25. And a Space Avenger from missions 26 to 30. And they don't say this, but if you're playing a universal game, maybe after mission 31 you become a Cosmic Avenger. For all you arcade fans out there who get that stupid joke. When conversing with your fellow officers, address them using the highest rank they have attained during their lifetime. When you first attain a higher rank, enter the date and score in the appropriate space on the promotion schedule. There's actually a page that you can write down your date that you got a certain score, and I think even what the score is. Let's see here. The date and the score, yeah. And I'm not sure which, I guess maybe this would have been for yourself. Maybe this would have been hung up in the arcade you were playing at. I'm not sure. Space Warrior and Space Avenger are special honorary ranks which are recognized throughout the universe as having great distinction. When you are already a Space Avenger and you complete more than 30 missions, you may add stars, 1 star for 31 to 35, and 2 stars for 36 and 40, and so on. If you believe your rank or score is a record achievement, inform ISDF Intelligence. We will require some form of verification. Acceptable methods would include affidavits with witnesses, screen photographs, or press clippings. We will acknowledge your report and publicize it. Which I think is interesting. Is Midway saying here that if you got a high score and took a picture and sent it to them, and it was high enough that they would have put it in the paper? Or, I mean, if anyone can tell me that, it's interesting. I don't know if Midway kept track of scores, but it sounds like they are here. I mean, obviously, they're doing it under the structure of the supposed Interstellar Space Defense Force, but let's be serious, that doesn't really exist. But Midway did. So I want to be clear here. I'm going to be reading quite a bit of this ISDF combat manual, but I'm not going to be reading it all. There's, like I said, it's 28 pages. I'm going to try to cover quite a bit of it, and but I'm not going to cover it all. There's just no way. On page 12 of the manual, we have the fighter specifications, and this blew my mind when I saw this. I mean, we've got your fighter is actually got a name. It's called the FS-15 Interstellar Space Fighter. It's the frontline fighter for the ISDF. Veterans of earlier missions against space invaders and Galaxians will recognize the many improvements in the FS-15-W. Now, let's hold on a second. Let's back up. They're actually referring to earlier games. And while both of these games, Space Invaders and Galaxians, technically the game is called Galaxian, but I guess the invaders would have been called Galaxians, at least according to this. They're acknowledging earlier games in this genre, which seems pretty far ahead of its time for 1981. So your FS-15-W has improved 2-axis maneuvering system, which in this case means you can go up and down the screen, which is, I love how they call it a 2-axis maneuvering system. An ergonomic hand control with firing trigger. And if you've played the arcade game, the firing trigger is used by your index finger. And I've played this arcade game, and it's, I mean, I haven't played it long, and but it seems like it would get my finger really tired. Back when I used to have my Commodore 64, I was able to play games for a while with a joystick that I had that was similar to that, and I didn't like it at all. You have an enhanced quark packet laser with abort feature, which I guess it's a bonus. Like, I guess, now that I'm thinking about some of these features that they're mentioning here, GORF is a pretty impressive game. You've got full certification for warp operation, a manufacturer of ISDF facility at WAW DIM, whatever that is. Well, here's what I think is interesting. Now they give you the length of your ship. It's 20 meters long. Its height is 6 meters. Its wingspan is 16 meters. It weighs 5,000 kilograms. Kilograms? That seems awfully, or that's its mass, but I don't think that can be right. Maybe kilotons? I don't know. Maximum speed is C-17, and I don't know what that means. Propulsion is 2 graviton accelerators, quark fusion powered. And it goes on and gives other numbers and throw things out there. Its armament is quark pack resonator charged by a separate quark fusion system. Sustainer range is 310 pix. Transfer time is 240 pix per second. Oh, now listen to this. Here was its cost. It's a 1, followed by 350 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 other zeros. That's a big number. So I'm going to say it cost 135000000000000, and finally 000. And I don't know how many additional cents it costs, but it's not, they rounded. Pages 14 and 15 of the ISDF Combat Manual have a Gorfian history, which, again, it's amazing to me that there's so much depth to this, at least background material for this game. Check out these pictures. I think it's pretty neat. The flyers actually have very similar pictures in color, and I wish I knew if the original manual was just scanning grayscale or if it was in color. I have a feeling, to keep costs down, it's probably grayscale. So the Gorfian history they give here is the Gorfs are the legacy of the organic life forms of TShirt. These aliens were a particularly warlike strain whose ultimate weapons were robot warriors. The development, production, command, and control of these forces was totally automated. TShirt was denuded of organic life by a massive attack by Resar about 3,000 years ago. The radiation levels that eradicated the Galaxians had no effect on their robots, which went on to win the war. These robots evolved into the Gorfian Empire as we know it today, inheriting the warlike tendencies of their creators. The Empire is sustained by rapacious consumption of resources, particularly silicon and metallic elements. For this reason, they attack our planet to seize our sand and coins. I guess that's a joke, huh? They take your quarters. The Gorfian Empire is a totalitarian state with a rigid class structure. The highest levels are occupied by the Gorfs themselves. Gorfs descend from a command and control robot designed to operate on planetary surfaces as well as in space. Although they look like cute little jumping beans, they are extremely dangerous. Yeah, don't confuse them with a Mexican jumping bean. Gorfian strategy and tactics. Gorfs communicate with each other telepathically. Collectively, they form a high intelligence which rules the Empire. Sometimes this intelligence penetrates our communication system with taunts and insults. I guess that's the taunting voice. That's interesting. They have background for this stuff. I just had no idea. I mean, I glanced this over before I was playing this for the Astrocade High Score Club, but I certainly didn't read it all, and this is the first time it's coming from me to the mic. Going very slowly or very quickly, depending on your point of view, through my brain. The lower ranks are filled with a variety of special-purpose warrior robots. They can be categorized by mission: invasion, invasion support, fighter, defensive fighter, or command and control. All robots are programmed to sacrifice themselves without reservation to destroy their enemy, which is why they dive bomb into you. The basic Gorfian strategy is to attack in overwhelming numbers. Individual robots are viewed as expendable. Their intention is to overload their opponent's defenses with a flurry of activity, trapping him in lethal fire. The essence of Gorfian tactical doctrine is random attack. Through unpredictable behavior, they wish to thwart rational countermeasures, and this works pretty well in the game. This pseudo-random behavior occurs within a large rational context, which when understood allows the ISDF pilot to anticipate trouble. We will discuss Gorfian tactics in greater detail in the mission scenarios. Now, I'm really digging this background. I'm glad I've decided to read this for this video, because I'm learning a whole bunch about the game. It's not going to probably make me any better at the game, but it's a way to enjoy it a little more deeply. I wish the manual had credits. I don't think that it does. Let me check it quick. Nope, it surely doesn't. It doesn't have credits. That's too bad, because I doubt if it was written by Jay Fenton or any of the other people that wrote the game, but I don't know. Maybe it was written by the people who were trying to promote it. But if anyone knows, write something down below this video. Now from here, the combat manual describes each of the levels in succession. It devotes about 1 page or 1.5 pages to each stage, and then it also tells you how many points each of the baddies is worth. I'm going to start off with the first stage, which is Astro Battles. Standard Gorfian doctrine for planet invasion specifies that special-purpose invasion droids be deployed in an attack matrix in the atmosphere. These droids are dropped from a GORF carrier type flying above the invasion area. The invasion is supported by various command and supply ships. GORFs and UFOs which fly above the invasion front. Your ship is vectored into position as the GORF makes its approach. By skillful shooting, you can destroy the GORF and some of the Matrix invaders before the rack is formed. The attack matrix, once formed, begins its descent. Their primary attack weapons are small antimatter gravity bombs. These have the effect of locally disrupting defense force fields and are, of course, fatal to spacecraft. Our defense system consists of a sub-quark matrix energy shield, or energy field. This will neutralize all bombs that strike an undisrupted area. The defense shield is deactivated whenever your QP laser fires. Caution should be exercised to prevent being hit by bombs. This effect can be used to advantage when the matrix is at the other side of the field to preserve the defense shield. It is recommended that the matrix be attacked from the edges. By destroying columns of invaders, the rate of descent is reduced, giving more time to avoid the bombs and repel the invasion. If the invaders land on our planet, your ship will be destroyed. If its spares are available, you will continue into space. When up against a space captain or above, the matrix will be deployed at a lower altitude. The bombing rate will also increase. At completion of this mission, you will lift off of your home planet and enter space. Your ship will make the transition through hyperspace to the next mission. Alright, so that's the background for the first stage. Now, if you're not familiar with GORF, I mean, you saw me play the game a few minutes ago, but it's basically Space Invaders. So that background, which sounds pretty darn cool to someone who's a sci-fi fan, of which I am. Now, if you describe this to me, do you think I'd picture Space Invaders? Nope, I surely would not. It doesn't sound, I mean, it sounds like Space Invaders if you know it's describing Space Invaders, but reading this and then writing a game, or just like drawing what you think the game would look like, I surely would not come up with a couple rows of invaders slowly advancing down the screen, going thump, thump, thump. But you never know what you're going to get when you get someone with some ideas and they're told to spice up the game a little bit, you know? Now, the game does give a little bit about scoring. I'm not sure if I should go into that. I guess it won't take too long, so I will. You get 50 points for invaders that are in the attack matrix, 60 points for the lowest one, 80 points for the middle level ones, 100 points for the large UFO, 200 points for the small one, 250 points for the GORF at the mission start, and 300 points for destroying the GORF after deployment. Now, until I started, I mean, I guess I knew before this, but I've played the game before, and it wasn't until I started reading some background that I realized that the little red baddie that bounces up and deploys these space invaders are actually, they're not called space invaders, wait, let me take that back, they're called invader droids. Yeah, but the baddie is called a GORF, and there's different kinds of GORFs, and that's like the commander GORF or something like that. Up next we have probably my favorite level in the game. It's the second stage. It's called Laser Attack. And what's neat about this game, by the way, is each stage, as you get to it, will tell you its name on the bottom. A lot of people, I think, because of GORF, call Galaxians. It's maybe they do it because it's plural for all the invaders coming down the screen. But I get a feeling that they do it because of this game, but that's just a hunch. So, in Laser Attack, the outer orbital zone above the invasion area is patrolled by attack fighters. They attack as the first line of defense against our counterattack. We leave hyperspace to engage them. This force is generally organized in formations of 5 ships, an anti-particle laser ship, 3 kamikaze ships, and a GORF. As a unit, they can maneuver very rapidly. The kamikaze ships and GORFs will try to ram you, while the laser ships aim to pin you down with a laser beam. Recommended strategy is to destroy the laser ships as soon as possible, as the kamikazes and GORFs are easier to destroy. The kamikazes do become more vicious when both laser ships are destroyed, so be wary. Now, as part of the High Score Club, I've been playing various versions of this game, the 2600 game, the ColecoVision version, the VIC-20 version, the Commodore 64 version, probably a few others that I'm forgetting. And some of them, this game is similar to the arcade game, and some of them, like the kamikaze ships, are just crazy, and like they really come after you, and it's very difficult to avoid them. It's actually this stage, the laser attack stage, is actually not too hard. I take that back. It can be hard if you get hit by the what do they call it here? The laser beam that comes down the screen, but because it kind of limits your movement left and right, depending, especially if 2 of them go off at once. Anyway, The laser ships alternate between maneuvering and firing. The best time to attack them is when they just begin to fire. Be certain that you can move away from the beam before it hits you. Kamikazes and GORFs should be destroyed at maximum possible range, especially when they power dive. At close range, it is possible to fly into an explosion, a deadly error. In later missions, the formations will move about more rapidly and the kamikazes will accelerate as they dive. Very true. It gives you some scoring tips on this one. You get 100 points for destroying the GORFs and kamikazes and 300 points for the laser ship. Now, typically, I don't hit any of the UFOs on the first level, or the GORF that flies by. And if you don't, after you finish this level, your score is 2600, which I think is pretty cool. Next up is the Galaxians level. We are now in deep space, approaching the defense perimeter of the Gorfian Robot Empire. Our intrusion is met by the deployment of a fighter matrix. These robots are similar to those in the Galaxian Wars. I think it's neat that they refer to an earlier game as if it was a war, and yeah, it's just this combat manual is just really cool for me. I'm a nerd, but it's something about it that I just find appealing. They will move back and forth in formation, talking about the Galaxians, launching attack runs using anti-photon bombs. The fighter matrix has 4 levels, the highest occupied by 2 leader robot ships. Immediately below are the escort robots. Several escorts will accompany a leader in making formation attack runs. Below the escorts are the heavy bombers. These robots drop 3 bombs during each run, while all others drop 2. The lowest level, called phaser fodder, acts as a shield for those above. I never thought of it that way. Bombers and phaser fodder attack individually and only from the edges of the formation. One way of reducing the intensity of the attack is to leave 1 bomber or fodder robot at each edge and destroy the formation from the inside out. That's a pretty good tactic. Let's try that out. I still have 1 more day to play for the High Score Club. All robots will try to ram you as well as bomb you. You must exploit our superior mobility to survive. And you can move up pretty far on the screen on this level. During the final phase of battle, the robots will make continuous attack runs. They will release their bombs at higher altitude and in greater numbers. Robots destroyed in mid-space score higher than those destroyed in formation. As in the first level, Astro Battles, we have the advantages of being able to fire while the robots are being deployed. For extra points, try to hit them before they settle in. You can blast through a column to expose a leadership or trim the formation edges as suggested above. This mission grows harder by increasing the frequency of attack and reducing the threshold at which continuous attacks begin. And the scoring for this level works like this. 50 points for any robot while in formation, 60 for phaser fodder, 80 for the bomber during the dive, 100 for escort during dive, and 300 points the leader during dive and a GORF. What I like about this game, or this level, well, this game in general, but when you get these guys bombing down at you, since you can fire quickly and your old missiles disappear, you can almost have like a rapid fire once they get close, and it works pretty well. I say that when I can't get a high score, so maybe it doesn't work well at all, and I just like to do it because I like to see my missiles look like they're doing something fun, and like I'm going to get somewhere with them, but maybe my tactics don't work, and maybe you shouldn't listen to anything I have to say, but yeah, in fact, since my top score is about 10k, just don't listen to anything I have to say. Here's a description of the space warp stage. We drive on into Gorfian territory, drawing near the enemy flagship. The flagship protects itself by generating a space warp. Until recently, this prevented us from making contact. Our improved technology allows us to penetrate and fight within space warps. The flagship will try to stop us here by launching space warp fighters at us. Space warp fighters are among the most sophisticated of Gorfian weapons. They fly spiral courses and possess very accurate sub-quark torpedo launchers. These torps are aimed directly at you and close in on your ship in 2 seconds or less. Torps can be launched from any altitude, including positions below you. Some spiral courses can result in mid-warp collision with your ship. If a fighter escapes, it will not return to haunt you. You can complete this mission using only defensive tactics. Offensive attack is recommended, however, to gain points and reduce the number of torps to avoid. Fighters are easiest to destroy when they first emerge. They are moving slower and the spiral is tighter. Get as close as possible to the center for minimum firing time. If you miss, back off to gain room. Aim to intercept the spiral path tangent to its sides. At mission 9 and above, the number of fighters launched is increased the spiral velocity doubles, and the torps move faster. I've never actually made it to the second time through, which is what that would require to get to mission 9. So I've never seen it get that fast. The highest I've been is mission 8, I think. I would imagine with just a little bit more practice I could get that far, but I haven't been able to do it. The last thing it says about that level is that every ship, no matter what it is worth 250 points. Aha! We finally reached the flagship stage. Here's the description of that stage from the combat manual. And before I actually even get into this, I enjoy this stage. It's quite a bit different from the other stages. It's just you against one enemy, which is neat. I guess the previous stage had just one enemy, but many of them appeared in a row. In this stage, all you have to do is fight the flagship. And it's kind of like a boss level, an early boss level. Alright, so we now confront the flagship. It is very different from the robots we have fought before and calls for a new set of tactics. The flagship is constructed of superdense neutronium. Power is provided by a large quark fusion reactor. Armament consists of a sub-quark fireball launcher and a protective force field. Unlike force fields on our technology, they can shoot through from their side without deactivation. In advanced missions, the flagship will be accompanied by several GORFs. It will also launch fireballs at a faster rate. Wow, I did not realize that on later levels there's GORFs on this level. That's I guess there's a lot more to this game than I actually knew about, and it's fascinating. Maybe I should actually try to get to some of these levels using save states in MAME, because I wouldn't mind checking out what the playfield looks like when there's GORFs bouncing around the screen, and I wonder how many there are. So it continues. Neutronium ships are difficult to destroy. A blast that would destroy a conventional robot will only dislodge a chunk of neutronium. These chunks represent a serious mid-space collision hazard. Points are awarded if you blast one in flight. During missions 15 and beyond, these chunks will have a higher velocity. The only way to destroy the flagship is to hit its internal power reactor. This can be done by chipping away the neutronium beneath with repeated shots. It is reported that there is a small reactor vent near the center through which a skilled pilot can hit the reactor with one shot. And I've never done that. I have hit it with 2 shots, I think. So I'm guessing I did get through the reactor vent, because I think if you take away chunks of the neutronium, then it still takes more than one hit to do that. So I think I must have got a shot through there once, which is wasn't skill, was total luck. The recommended strategy is to first create large voids in the force field with repeated shots. Observe the rate and direction of fire from the flagship, and, when clear, shoot for the reactor. It is important to hit the reactor as soon as possible, since the firing rate intensifies over time. When the reactor is hit, an unstable reaction will ensue. This culminates in a violent explosion, which will generate an unstable space warp, scattering the neutronium. And the space warp looks pretty neat. It's just a bunch of lines coming out of the center of the screen. I would say it reminds me of like Tempest, but it's actually, obviously it's not vectored, but it's, I guess it's a good way to think of it, is it looks like a web almost of lines coming out of the screen like an explosion. You have accomplished your mission and will receive a field promotion for your skill and bravery. This is a moment to savor, for soon the battle will begin again. And it says, note, a bonus ship will be awarded to pilots honoring their promotion from Space Cadet to Space Captain. In this level, it gives you the scoring. It's 20 points for hitting the flagship and dislodging a chunk of neutronium, 100 points for destroying an escort GORF, 150 points for destroying a chunk in flight, which, I've never actually tried to shoot them before. I just avoid them. And 1,000 points for hitting the power reactor, which destroys the flagship. And that is, I was going to say GORF in a nutshell, but that's a lot bigger than a nutshell, isn't it? Page 27 of the combat manual has a special offer for GORF t-shirts. The t-shirts are described as colorful, light blue t-shirts with full 4-color permanent silkscreen design featuring Gorfian robot figure and GORF lettering style. That's kind of funny. It's called a Gorfian robot figure. And you can see it in this grayscale picture from the manual, but I've never seen one of these, and I actually looked around the internet to see if anyone had taken a picture. I did find some current GORF t-shirts, but they don't have the same emblem. And this is the same picture that is provided on the front of the flyer, so I guess if someone wanted to make one of these t-shirts nowadays, they actually could. The shirt is made of fine cotton polyester. Woohoo! And it's available in a couple of different sizes, and no matter what size you choose, it is $5.95. The last page that I want to talk about is called the ISDF Membership ID. And this is I guess a card that you could send away for, and here's what it says for a description. As a volunteer pilot active in the fight against the diabolical Gorfian robot empire, you will receive your proper respect and identification with this card. And if you check it out, I have a picture of it right here. It entitles you to receive all bulletins and rankings of other pilots everywhere on this planet. Please complete the front of the card with your name and other pertinent information required. On the other side of the card is a handy form to record your rank, scores, and dates of your achievements, which you can display to your fellow pilots and officers. And then it gives you the address that you send it away for is ISDF Command Headquarters, care of YAWDIM in Franklin Park, Illinois. So I was wondering what this place might have been, and I couldn't actually find what it stood for at first, but I eventually did find out, and it stands for, well, I'll just tell you, I found a site called IndianaCheck.com. I learned that this address belonged to Aladdin's Castle Joint Venture Limited Partnership, which was formed on April 3rd, 1981. Without much surprise, since Namco bought Aladdin's Castle in 1993, this location is no longer the head of the arcade chain. It's now a gym called Life Fitness. But I've never been to Aladdin's Castle, so I thought that was kind of interesting. I know a lot of people have fond memories of that arcade chain. I was born in the early 70s, but I didn't really get a chance to go to many arcades, especially mall arcades. I lived in a small area on the East Coast that the malls were pretty far away, and so my gaming was done at home on the Atari VCS and eventually on the Commodore 64. Well, that about wraps up everything I want to say about GORF. I hope you've enjoyed this. I know there was only a few minutes of video and a lot more talking, but I really found this combat training manual to be very interesting, and I'd never heard of it before, and I was pretty surprised considering I'm a fan of all these arcade games that were using the Astrocade chipset. So until next time, pull out your Astrocade, or pull up a Astrocade-related game in the MAME emulator and give it a go. Thanks for watching.